Hello everyone, I'm Alex Wonko, MSc candidate for Information System Management at University of Salford. Today I would like to discuss a topic with you on information management in humanitarian response sector. Disasters and conflict have become regular occurrences, at least in the last 3 decades, all around the world. It has caused a lot of issues like displacement, human suffering, destruction, and humanitarian emergencies. For instance, in 2020, OCHA, being the Organization for Coordination of Humanitarian Assistance, predicted that 168 million people would be in need of humanitarian assistance in 2020. And one can imagine with the COVID-19, that number would be most likely exceeded. As the number of conflict and disasters, especially in the developing part of the world, increase, humanitarian relief actors has also increased. These actors usually include the UN, the international NGOs, national NGOs, voluntary organizations, and donor agencies. Following the criticism on the impact of humanitarian aid, information management began to emerge in an attempt to ensure efficiency in delivery of humanitarian aid in an ethical, evidence-based, and accountable manner. Humanitarian information usually covers all the various stages of information processing, from the production, storage, and dissemination stage. Information forms the foundation for all humanitarian programming, and it supports the larger multi-sectoral joint coordination frameworks that exist in the humanitarian sector. A well-structured information management ensures that humanitarian workers working in the same area are able to use complementary information that can be accurate, reliable, and timely. Reliance on information management has begun to emerge because of the need for data and evidence-based response, especially across all um, humanitarian response stages. And you can see it from the image here, from the prevention to the mitigation, preparedness, response, recovery, and reconstruction stage. Information management plays a very vital role throughout the process. Information management workflows. The key role in information management is developing tools that can be used to collect data, analyze data, and interpret data to advise decision makers on course of action that provides the best principled method of response. This process usually involves collection, processing, analysis, dissemination. Collection involves generating information from both primary and secondary data sources. And an example of primary data source can be number of settlements affected by flood or cyclone, and secondary data source can be population census figures from a country. These data collection processes can either be technical or non-technical. That's involving either qualitative or non-qualitative data collection process. The processing of the information is the next stage, and it usually involves technical data transformation into aggregates and format that can be easily used for further analysis. The next stage is analysis. This stage normally involves data and information aggregation and usually involve basic statistics or special analysis as in GIS, using visualization and added qualitative context to explain the analysis that has been performed. The next stage after analysis usually involves dissemination. This is the last stage in the information processing workflow, and it usually involves communication of information products in various formats, be it a map, be it a dashboard or fact sheet, communicating them to policymakers, stakeholders, donors, and different groups. Principle of humanitarian information management. The difference between traditional private sector information system and the humanitarian or development sector information system or management are the application of humanitarian principles. Some of those principles are accessibility, inclusiveness, interoperability, accountability, verifiability, relevance, impartiality, humanity, timelessness, sustainability, reliability, reciprocity, confidentiality. This is the difference between private sector information management and humanitarian information management. Humanitarian response is hinged on this principle, and I will go deeper into that. In terms of accessibility, for instance, humanitarian information and data should be made accessible to all humanitarian actors by applying easy-to-use formats and by translating information into common languages. For instance, humanitarian information in Bangladesh has to be translated to Burmese or Bangladeshi language. If it is in any country with a different language, it has to be translated in that language to aid communication and accessibility. And then we say it has to be inclusive. Information management and exchange should be based on collaboration and partnership and sharing with a high degree of participation and ownership by multiple stakeholders. Again, this is also in line with the humanitarian Grand Bargain Agreement reached by all humanitarian actors in 2016. Next, we say it has to be interoperable. All shareable data and information should be made available in formats that can be easily retrieved, shared, and used by humanitarian organizations. Next, we say accountability. Information providers should be responsible to their partner and stakeholders for the content they publish or disseminate. Verifiability. Information should be accurate, consistent, based on sound methodologies, validated by external sources, and analyzed with proper contextual framework in the country. The information also has to be relevant. Information has to be practical, flexible, and responsive, and driven by operational needs in support of decision making throughout all phases of the crisis or humanitarian context which the information is supposed to serve. It also has to be impartial. Information managers are expected to consult a variety of sources when collecting and analyzing information as to provide varied and balanced perspective for addressing problems. There is also issue of humanity. It should not be distorted to mislead people. It should be timely. It has to be sustainable, and it has to be reliable for decision making. It should be also be information should be beneficial in a two-way process between affected community and humanitarian community. That information has to benefit both for the response and for the beneficiaries. And the issue of confidentiality. Processing personal data of humanitarian beneficiaries is a very strict issue in the humanitarian community, and as it is expected for it to be for you to adhere to privacy standards within the humanitarian community. Now, to summarize, these underpinning principles guiding humanitarian information management ensure that data is collected and analyzed in an equitable manner to support emergency situation reporting and developing public communication materials. The information provided during humanitarian phase help to strengthen the transition for longer term development objectives, especially for early recovery, reconstruction, and peace building activities. IM strengthens the need, assessment, strategic planning, resource mobilization, and implementation monitoring efforts of humanitarian actors, effective and ethical response to needs of affected communities. This can be seen in the image shown before you. Needs assessment, strategic planning, and implementation are the common uses of information management in the humanitarian space. The value of information management in humanitarian response. This is also saying the advantages of information management, and you could see that it reduces data management workload, minimizes or eliminates error reporting from agencies, and it allows you to do more analytics with data from many sources. Empowers you for empowers decision makers. It can also allow you to map where needs exist for better targeting of beneficiaries in the field, for identifying disproportionate severity of needs. For instance, there can be more needs in one location than in another location, and show what has been done and the remaining gaps. Information managers has to also show, for instance, what has been done in each location as far as mapping those gaps. The last three are shown on the screen, represent new innovations in information management in the humanitarian space, and is powered by advances in geographic information system called the GIS, drone and satellite technologies, which now allow information managers to do more with data in terms of understanding how they can support humanitarian response. Next, we look at information management innovation in the humanitarian response, and we can see this in mobile data collection using Kobo, ODK, or ONA. We can also see the new advances in the use of social media for humanitarian coordination, example setting up a WhatsApp group or Telegram groups. We also see this in the use of GIS, as I explained in the previous slide, as it's been shown to be reliable in coordinating humanitarian response. The biggest advantage is that it can operationalize location data, thereby adding more insights and analytics needed in aid delivery, need assessment, and response monitoring. We also talked about the drone imagery in the previous slides, showing that these innovations in information management technology in humanitarian sector has been visible in the field, as seen in the papers shown in the slide. I would like to talk about the application areas of information management in humanitarian emergencies. Combining data sources from different sources is also called layers, as shown on the right hand side of the screen. Helps helps in identifying and understanding emergencies. For instance, as seen in the following examples: in flood vulnerability assessment and evacuation planning. In 2019, the case in Mozambique flood and post-cyclone Idai in Mozambique in 2019 show us an example of how information management was very effective in that response. Also, in the wildfire risk mapping of forest fires, forest fire management, such as the wildfire events like we saw earlier in 2020 in Australia. I've also referenced papers that talks about wildfire events and how information management was key to managing that. Also, vegetation health monitoring for food security, and we could see that in the desert locust invasion in East Africa, how the desert locust information management system has been able to provide needed support in terms of understanding where is affected, how many people are affected, and what resources and gaps are available for curbing the desert locust invasion. We also see that in the shelter clustering overcrowding mapping services that has been happening for reducing the overcrowding situation in refugee camps, and we see that in the impact of GIS is having in shelter clustering mapping in Cox's Bazar camp. I've also attached a paper to show how that information management has been pivotal in curbing those challenges. Next, I'd like to talk about how in health information management has been pivotal also in health emergencies, and we can see in the on the slide how information management processes from data collection platform to data processes to data needs to data uses, how information and data is beneficial for a health emergency response. And that benefit can be seen in the area that is helping to understand where health needs are located. It also helps in understanding the varying severity of health needs and prioritize resources for responding to those needs. It also helps in operationalizing humanitarian principle of impartiality, because if analysis is if humanitarian response is data driven, then it ensures that there is impartiality in delivery of humanitarian aid. We also say that it helps in identifying gaps of unmet needs and unreached population, and ensuring accountability and efficient use of resources. Next, I show you here how we move from humanitarian data and information processing to response planning information products. And we can see through the use of primary and secondary data sources and putting them all into a database and analyzing that, it helps us to generate information management products that help to operationalize response, showing us where the needs are highest and where the needs are lowest, so that we can also in humanitarian response channel resources relative to severity of needs. Information management come with a lot of comes with a lot of comes with a lot of challenges in the humanitarian space. And to look at these challenges, the first of all, we talk about the global digital divide that makes IT adaptation in some contexts very impossible. And we can see that in the papers that would be attached in the references. For instance, internet inaccessibility to perform real-time analytic function in most humanitarian emergencies pose a very big problem because of the global digital divide. There is also the problem of unwillingness to promote private sector participation and innovation strategy because of ethical concerns in terms of data privacy. And then we talked about information gaps and data fragmentation. The quality of baseline secondary data in every humanitarian response determines the ability of information management officials or specialists to identify what needs to be, what will be affected. These baseline data sets can most times be outdated and can't be integrated into primary data for analysis. Also, with regards to data fragmentation, with every agency collecting data in the field, there is oftentimes no compiled data for reaching an all-binding outlook of humanitarian needs. Hence, there's been this recent call from the humanitarian grant bargain agreement for more joint needs assessment to avoid duplication of effort. Next, we talk about the overproliferation of information system creating duplication of effort. This is also related to the previous issues I have addressed in the information gaps and data fragmentation. Then we talk about the contextual challenges that's affecting information management implementation processes. And that's also related to the global digital divide that exists between the developing world and the developed world and the developing world, also known as the global south. Because we see recently that apart from digital divide, there are also contextual issues. For instance, there's a difference between using information management tools in disaster response and in conflict response, because in most conflict response or war related humanitarian response, the use of drones might not be permitted. So that is a contextual challenge that reduces what it can be used in humanitarian response. And then in summary, humanitarian response efforts make a huge impact in most disasters and conflict affected communities of the world. The effectiveness of humanitarian response over time has largely been powered by advances in information management and technologies. Information management advancements has opened up emerging humanitarian approaches for delivering humanitarian relief. And we can see these two examples in the use of new electronic vouchers for delivering food aid, the use of cash-based intervention rather than giving people food. People are now giving them ATM cards, they are giving them electronic vouchers, new approaches to delivering humanitarian aid. We also see it in the example of the WFP scope card that they are using to deliver humanitarian aid and manage beneficiary profile. That is advances in technology that has also shaped humanitarian modalities. There is also the issue of data privacy, and it's been a long issue for now. There's always this concern of valuing humanitarian, valuing the need to deliver aid over data privacy of beneficiaries, and there is fear that this might be weaponized if exposed to a wrong group. And then, given the contextual differences that exist globally, it is important to summarize by saying that information management technology will play a larger role in the future of development sector, but it needs to be developed with the participation of people who are affected, as that would create more usability in local context where it is deployed. I want to thank you for listening to me today. Uh, I am Alex again, and goodbye.